Welcome everybody, this is Alex from Maine Luxury Auto Barn, and I'm just driving on my way home, so I figured I would use this time to make a video on something that's kind of fresh on my mind. And I want to talk to you about engine air filters and why they need to be replaced. So the reason this is fresh on my mind is recently we had a new customer come to us, and just like every new customer that comes to Maine Luxury Auto Barn, we always do a deep dive into the service history, both on Carfax and on the official BMW website, so that we can get a really solid idea of where the vehicle sits as far as its maintenance history. Now, this particular car, we ended up finding that the air filter and cabin filter had not been replaced in a really long time. And when we presented this to the customer, the response that we got was that they did not believe in air filters and cabin filters. And I believe what they meant was they don't believe that you have to change them. So that's totally fine. You know, our job is just to present what the car needs. It's totally up to everyone to decide on their own what they want to do on their cars. But I figured this was a really good opportunity to do a little education so that everyone can understand why it's so important to replace these filters. And like all my service videos, I want to keep this as understandable by everybody as possible. So even like a new driver who's 15, 16 years old can watch this video and understand why it's so important to do this service and other services. So, you know, I'm going to keep things really basic so that everyone can understand it. And basically, to start off, I want to just explain that any internal combustion engine, car engine, tractor, doesn't matter what it's on a boat, is basically like a giant vacuum cleaner. Okay, it pulls air in through the intake system, and then it forces it out the exhaust, and the energy that drives it is the gasoline that you pump in your tank. On a vacuum cleaner, the energy is either the electricity from the wall, or if it's a battery powered vacuum, it's the battery. And I'm sure that everybody here has been using a vacuuming underneath either a bed or a couch, and all of a sudden you hear the tone of the vacuum just ramp up, pull the vacuum out, and sure enough, you've sucked up a t-shirt or a chip bag or something, and you have to shut the vacuum off and pull that out of the intake pipe of the vacuum. What you're actually hearing when you hear that change in the tone of the vacuum is you're hearing it draw its maximum amperage from either the wall or the battery, so that it can continue to pull air in and push air out of the vacuum. Okay, so you're using a lot more energy to pull the same amount of air into the vacuum. A car engine is no different. Theoretically, you would want the intake system of the engine to have no restrictions at all. And an air filter itself is a minor restriction in the intake of an engine. But you have to have an air filter there, because if you don't, there's all kinds of things that will go into the engine and destroy your engine, like dirt, sticks, leaves. I've seen many mice nests. I've seen live mice, dead mice, trash. I've seen so many things in these air boxes that would have ended up in engines and destroyed the engines if the air filter was not there. So you absolutely have to have an air filter in the engine intake system. And like I said, it's already a restriction, right? It's already going to reduce the airflow into the engine a little bit. And over time, what happens is, basically an air filter, if you were to zoom in under a microscope, it looks like all these intertwined, weaving pieces of fabric, and the air goes through all these little pockets as it goes into the intake of the engine. And over time, all kinds of little particles of pollen and dust and dirt all get pulled in and sucked into all these little pockets inside the air filter. On top of that, it's always, you know, there's usually some type of humidity in the air. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's super hot and humid out, sometimes you're driving through puddles. This moisture gets pulled in through the air filter as well, and it actually causes all these little particles to basically harden onto these fibers, and they get stuck there permanently. And over time they build up and they build up, and eventually it's just like that shirt that you sucked into the vacuum. it's causing the engine to have to use a lot of the energy that it's getting from the explosion with the gasoline to just draw the air into the intake of the engine. So rather than using most of the gasoline to basically put the power down to the ground and push the car forward, you're using a portion of that energy to just pull the air into the intake of the engine so that it can stay running. And I don't know about you, but at $5 a gallon, I want as much of that energy that is produced by the explosion of the gasoline to go to the wheels of my car and push me down the road so that I can get better fuel economy, I can get better horsepower, better performance out of my car. And that's why you absolutely have to be servicing these air filters, because if you don't, they will become clogged and your gas mileage will go down, the performance of the car will go down, and you're basically going to be going to pump gas and using a huge portion of that energy just to keep the engine running. So I have a few examples here of filters that I brought from my shop. This one right here, I'll let you look at it, was actually from my car. Now you can see how it's just kind of getting dirty, right? This was serviced on time. This is what we want. We want it to be just starting to turn this grayish, dirty color. Might be kind of hard to see in the sun, right? Instead of the nice, clean yellow color or white color, depending on the type of filter, right? Here's the back side of an old filter, okay? See how it's all white? And then this is the other side. That's all the dirt that's getting packed into the filter. Okay, but you should either, you want your filter to be clean. It should either be white or yellow, depending on what kind of fabric it is. There's also oil bath filters like K&N filters that may have a red or blue color, but that's actually, we're not gonna get into that, but it's actually an oil that is on the fibers that give it that color. But either way, when your filter starts looking dirty, this one is out of a Mini Cooper that was way overdue. It's hard to tell in the video, but you can see how the filter's already, it's like deforming, it's starting to shrink. It's been in there way too long. It's super dirty. This one was definitely causing performance and fuel economy issues. So again, I just wanted to make this video so that everyone understands the basics of how an engine works and why your air filter is so important to change. And hopefully this helps educate someone that maybe didn't understand why shops out there recommend replacing your air filters. If you do own a BMW and you don't want to replace the air filter yourself, feel free to give us a call at Maine Luxury Auto Barn. And air filters, it's one of the best do-it-yourself jobs if you want to start working on cars, or if you just want to tinker on your car at the weekend. It's usually, you might have to remove a support bar and you might have to remove the air box and a couple clamps or screws, but overall it's a relatively simple repair. And if anyone with some tools and a little bit of mechanical background can do it, no problem. If you don't want to dive into it, go to your local service station. If you have a BMW Mini Cooper, you're in southern Maine, give us a call. We can do it for you. It's one of the most inexpensive services there are. And again, it's just going to keep your car running efficiently and make sure that you're getting all the horsepower that you paid for. So thanks for watching the video. The next one's going to be on cabin filters, because like I said, this just brought up how important it is to me to educate everybody on why these filters are important. I honestly believe that the cabin filter is just as important, if not more important, than the air filter. So recommend jumping on and watching that video as soon as I make it. They're important for two totally separate reasons. One's for your health, the other is for the actual efficiency of your vehicle, but both of those things in my mind are extremely important. So replace your filters, and I'll see you on the next video.